welcome to Sports Talk in the Burgh, the only show in the world where career backups get a platform to talk about the quintessential topic in all of our lives, sports. I'm Josh Woodman, and today I'm joined by the only tackle who should be starting over Dan Moore, Jordan Warak, and Shaler's favorite backup goalkeeper, Casey Irwine. We got a lot to go. Let's get into it. It's been a long time, so we're back. Let's get in all the news stories. Starting off, it's no secret that the NFL season is right around the corner, and with week one starting tomorrow night and carrying on until Monday, Jordan, which of the week one matchups is the most eye-catching to you?
To me, this is a very easy choice. It is the game versus the Ravens and the Chiefs week one. To me, that is the biggest game of the week simply for the fact of it's two of the best teams from last year squaring off and heading against each other to start the year, and it's a good way for both of the teams, whoever wins, to get momentum over the other, and they can kind of establish their dominance in the AFC early.
Yeah, I think it's a good choice. You know, I can see a lot of people being like you, going online, look at the NFL schedule, and seeing the first game being Chiefs and Ravens, not going past that because, that's such an important game. But for me, I looked a little deeper. And this may not be, very popular pick of game of the week, but I picked the Bears versus Titans because, all honestly, if you look at who the Bears have added, obviously Caleb Williams. You've got Rome Odunze. You still have DJ Moore. You've got Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift. On defense, Kevin Byard, Jalen Johnson, Montez Sweat. All these guys. That's a team with potential. I'm talking potential. Not right now maybe, but potential for a Super Bowl. And right now, game one with Caleb Williams, most hype prospect since forever, I think it could really be a tone setter for not just the season in the NFL, but the future of the entire NFL. You go back, you look at Mahomes' first start when he became the starter in the 2018 season. He had 4 touchdowns versus division rival Chargers in a big win, 38-28. Trevor Lawrence a few years ago, another huge prospect, had a bad game, threw a lot of passes, not very efficient, lost to a really bad Texans team, and now, I'm not saying that decided his career, but that was another tone setter. And, right here is where the Bears can really prove to the league that with their guy, Caleb Williams, they are a threat for not just today, not just this season, but for the future of the entire NFL.
So to me, it kind of sounds like you see the Bears as like this year's kind of Texas-esque team. Is that
where
you're going with this?
I do see that. And Texans, is not as much hype as the Bears have right now. But you saw the Texans. C.J. Stroud was their high quarterback, added a few pieces, and then came together and were a really surprising team. This, I think, there is that more hype around the Bears, but I don't know if there is even enough hype on what their actual potential. And with this good week one matchup against the Titans, with Will Levis, a lot of new pieces on the offense, and I think it'll be a really good test and tone setter for the league.
See, I just let you get there, but I just think that the Bears match, like the Bears point of view, like I get that and I see where you're coming from, but to me, there's nothing exciting about the Titans and Mr. Mayo boy Will Levis.
Here's the thing: with the pieces they added on offense to support Will Levis, they've got Tony Pollard, maybe not a needle mover. You have DeAndre Hopkins. You've got Calvin Ridley. They've got a really good left side of the line with Latham and Skoronski. So I really think it is a team that can test a kind of brand new Bears team. That's why I think it's going to be such an exciting game.
Well, and Casey, I'll go back to you for this next question, but one of the more eye-catching matchups is Aaron Rodgers. And so I know we mentioned the Jets and Aaron Rodgers right now, but already how confident are you that he can be the man to turn it around for this franchise that has been so desperately needing a quarterback?
Well, let's be honest here, okay? Aaron Rodgers, he's turning 41 this season, December, and he's coming off a torn Achilles. Looking at the entire history of the NFL, the only guy to have any success at that age is Tom Brady, and Tom Brady is the outlier of all outliers in football in general. And if you even go back to Rodgers last season, his last full season in 2022 with Green Bay, he had a very clear decline, his lowest rating ever as a starter, threw his most picks since his first full year in 2008. And you have to also consider, all the weird stuff he's doing. Foreign drugs potentially. We talk about, he was going to be a vice president pick for RFK. Is his mind really 100% on football anymore? That's a question that you can't really answer. I trust his teammates more than I trust Aaron Rodgers. That's why I do think the Jets will have success, but not really necessarily because of Aaron Rodgers.
See, I don't think I fully agree with you on this point because I still believe in Aaron Rodgers. I know his last full year healthy, he had a down year, but as you said, he's going to be 41. He's coming off the Achilles injury, but I don't think for a guy like him is not a quarterback that relies a ton on mobility, especially now. He's a guy that's known for his arm. He's known for his accuracy. And I don't feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to be a bottom of the league type quarterback this year. I think he can still be a middle tier to top tier QB.
But I think you do underestimate his ability with his legs. One of his best parts of his game is his ability to be confident under pressure, and when he rolls out of pressure and is still able to find a really great throw. So if that's not the same, not even just because of age, because of that torn Achilles, I know everyone was talking about this miraculous recovery he was making, and I just don't think he'll be the same quarterback. And another thing here, I'm not sure the connection he'll have with all of his teammates.
I can see the connection thing because he has not played a full game with them yet. But to just harp on the Achilles thing one more time, I feel like the Achilles injury is starting to get where the ACL injury was, where it's starting to become you're not as affected due to like the advancements in health and stuff. Like you see players in like different sports, like Kevin Durant in basketball was able to tear his Achilles and come back and be just as good as he ever was. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to have a similar type thing where he's not going to be affected as much as people think he will be.
Yeah, and the Jets really need him to work out, or else their playoff chances go right in the toilet. Speaking of the draft, this year's NFL draft had plenty of some surprises. One was Michael Penix Jr. being drafted 8th to Atlanta. Before that, Drake May went 3rd to New England, Jaden Daniels 2nd to Washington, and of course Caleb Williams 1st overall to Chicago. With the emergence of Daniels, May, and even Bo Nix in the preseason, is Williams guaranteed to be the best rookie quarterback, Jordan?
Listen, Jordan Warwick thinks that it's not a guarantee for Caleb Williams to be the best rookie quarterback, but I believe that because it's a thing with the NFL and with any sports in general, nothing is ever a guarantee. And you like things could always happen. Injuries could occur. Players might not be as good as you thought they were. But I feel like he's definitely the most likelihood to be the best quarterback out of everyone. But a guarantee, no.
Well, Caleb Williams, you know, in Casey Irwine's opinion, if we're gonna say that, okay, I think it's a guarantee that he's gonna be the best. You know, if you look at it honestly speaking, you look at all the talent everyone has in the draft. He is clearly the most talented player in this entire draft in the last few drafts. Okay. And he has all the tools to be the next star, the next Mahomes in this league. But it's going to fall even more to what these QBs have around them. Caleb Williams has maybe the best team a #1 overall quarterback has been drafted to maybe we've ever seen with all the weapons he has had. You look at Jaden Daniels. He'd be lucky not to get an injury with the O-line they have, with the field they have there for the Commanders. You look at Drake May, he's not even starting, and he's still on a bad Patriots team that's coming out of a Bill Belichick area. It's in a transition era in general. You look at, J.J. McCarthy, not going to see him this season, so we don't have to worry about that. Michael Penix was sent to purgatory behind Kirk Cousins, so not there. And Bo Nix, well, I'm not even going to give Bo Nix time, to be honest. We have precious time here on Sports Talk, and I don't think Bo Nix deserves it, to be honest.
I don't think that's fair that you give J.J. McCarthy time, someone that's not playing over Bo Nix.
I didn't even give him time. I just said he's done.
Sean Payton really kind of helped Drew Brees take that elevation in his career, so why can he not do that with Bo Nix?
Because Bo Nix has been at college for so long, and because he's been at college for so long, because he never elevated as a quarterback. He's almost at his potential. It's the same thing with Michael Penix. There are these older guys who really their peak is going to be in college, and they'll be serviceable NFL quarterbacks, but stars like Caleb Williams will be not a chance.
Just like how it was a guarantee for like Mitch Trubisky to be a star, nothing is guaranteed in this league. Things happen. Players are not as good as you think they are. Systems are a thing in this league. Injuries are a thing. There's nothing that is a guarantee in the NFL
I think
all.
everyone agreed that Mitch Trubisky was a reach, though.
Well, one of the major headlines this offseason has, of course, been the contracts being handed out, especially to wide receivers. While CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson finally got their bag, Jamar Chase has still been holding out, with him showing up to practice in pads just today. With games starting as soon as tomorrow, how important have these contracts been to these teams, Casey?
Well, with how many wide receivers have been signed this offseason, I think we'll be better able to answer this question about 2 to 3 years. But for now, let's look about 5 years back. Going over the last Super Bowl champions, the only team to win with a wide receiver getting paid big bucks was the Chiefs in 2020 with Tyreek Hill, and he was still only getting paid $18 million. I know there's inflation overall in general with the salary cap, but still only 18 mil for Tyreek Hill. You even look at, Cooper Kupp just had an emerging year. That's the thing with wide receivers. It's probably the most loaded position in the entire league when you go from practice squad up, or even guys that are unsigned. Any wide receiver can really emerge on the scene at any time. Puka Nacua, last year, that's a great example. And so I think when you look at it, I think a wide receiver's position that over time, if you pay one guy that much money, over 30 mil, I think it's something that does not bode well for long term. In reality, I think it falls to the QB. I think the QB is still the position that deserves the most money, obviously. And I think it's because guys like Brady, Mahomes, Big Ben, all these guys over the years, they're quarterbacks that have the ability to draw out the best potential of any wide receiver that they play with, and that's what makes them great. And so I think that's why I don't think the wide receivers deserve this much money.
Yeah, Casey, I completely agree with you because these receivers are getting paid how quarterbacks used to get paid a couple of years ago, and it's not like there's only one receiver. It's not like it's not like it's only one receiver, just like how there's one quarterback. You have to pay a bunch. You have about 4 of these guys on a team that you are going to have roster and have consistently play, and you're paying one of them $30 million when you could be paying have good quality guys on the rest on your depth.
Well, my question is, what are you supposed to do with these guys? Because these guys are X-factor guys. And so if we are just letting these guys go into free agency, not paying them, having them waste a season on our bench, assuming you're a team GM, what are you supposed to do with these guys then if you're not going to pay them?
Well, I get it sometimes that they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. But I think, honestly, sometimes the player does get a little too – I think, agents have become a big thing these days. I think sometimes they do get a little too overconfident with how they do. And I think GMs honestly need to start pushing back a little bit more. I think the Ayuk saga especially, honestly, complete joke in my opinion.
Yeah,
the fact that it went on that long and really Ayuk just pushed around.
But they have no leverage. They have no leverage.
They had all the leverage.
Because if the teams won't give them what they want, the teams who want Ayuk will be satisfied waiting that season to get him later. And then you are just stuck with a guy who you got to pay sitting on your bench doing nothing.
Well, I just think it's just the money in general. I think they should just be paid a little less because, as I said, all these Super Bowl winning teams are teams that spend more money on different positions because wide receiver is something where any guy can emerge at any time.
Well, I think at the end of the day, it just needs to come down to the NFL needs to find a way that they need to find a balance of where players aren't throwing their weight around and threatening to sit out for the entire season, and where GMs and owners are giving players their rightfully due money.
All right. When we come back, we'll be talking about the QB battle in Pittsburgh, the Pirate struggles, and more right here on Sports Talk in the Burgh.
When I first saw Turtle, my heart was full. Now anything but lonely.
We had this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet,
We discover
they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure love.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Hear me, I'm talking now. Can you hear me? Worried about your friend, but don't know how to reach out?
You could say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR, it's so good. If you think you should check in, yeah, you should. Whatever gets you talking. Reach out to a friend about their mental health. Whatever gets you talking. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. Casey is still with us, but joining us now is Caden. Caden, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm excited to be here.
Lovely to hear. All right, so moving into our first topic, the Steelers' offense looks very different from when we last saw them against Buffalo in January. Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph are all gone, and now Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and Kyle Allen are in. Caden, I'll start with you. Can this QB room find the same success or better than their successors found?
When given the last couple of years, especially with under Matt Canada, with old Ben Roethlisberger, Mitchell Trubisky, and Kenny Pickett, I don't think it's going to be very hard to find something better than that. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger was on his last legs. He was 38, I believe. Mitchell Trubisky, we know how he is done. And then Kenny Pickett, I think he was really overhyped coming out of Pittsburgh. That fake slide really carried him. In the meantime, I believe this past offseason, the changes we've made at the quarterback position, bringing in a completely new room, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Kyle Allen, I think it's a decent cohesion of talent. I just don't know how well that talent will adhere to each other. I mean, Russell Wilson, he's going to be the starter because obviously he's an older guy, and then Justin Fields might come in later. It reminds me a little bit of the Ravens in 2018 whenever Joe Flacco started off the year with Lamar Jackson sitting behind him. And during that year, if you remember, Harbaugh used Lamar Jackson, Greg Roman used Lamar Jackson in more of like rushing packages to get him more accustomed to the league. And I feel like that could happen here in Pittsburgh, but I think the issue with it is Justin Fields has had multiple years as a starter.
Well, here's the thing, okay? Last season, I watched the Steelers start Mason Rudolph in a playoff game versus Josh Allen and the Bills, okay? And you think, with either a Super Bowl winning quarterback or a young dynamic QB, if anyone thinks they're now going to be worse, I think it's just an insane thought. Last season, Russell Wilson, dumpster fire of a Broncos team, but he still had a solid year, a little over 3,000 passing yards, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And you got Justin Fields. The team says he's going back to his old throwing motion he had at Ohio State, which he had so much success in. He's the third best dual quarterback besides Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, like you said. And I do think we could see him in more gadget plays like that. And so having that dynamic threat at quarterback is now something that teams have to worry about. I think both of these quarterbacks have their own special talents that have been worries for the league, and that the league can now still be worried about. And now that they're together, that's two things I have to worry about at the same time, because at any point, I won't be surprised if Justin Fields is not in for just a gadget rushing play, but just a pass in general. And, you just look at it, I think this in general, for Justin Fields especially, I think being on the Steelers, I think they believe in him more than the Bears ever did. And I think that can elevate him as a passer. I know he might not have as many options. George Pickens is the big thing here, but I think Roman Wilson has potential to really emerge. And I think the tight ends will be a big thing as well. I think they'll go back into the game. And so I think, the only thing that worries me is the schedule. But Russell Wilson has the experience to get past such a tough schedule. So I do think with these QBs, the Steelers will find a bit more success. I don't know about huge success, but more than last season.
I'm just going to interrupt. I'm going to say, who is he throwing the ball to? Because
I just said George Pickens. I just said Roman Wilson. What do you mean?
We're relying on two targets right there, and we're relying on an injured Roman Wilson to come in and emerge. I mean, we got Van Jefferson, but he's kind of like an imposter. It's like we don't have a quality second like Pickens was with Deontay, like two dynamic guys off each other. We just kind of have guys.
I think the thing is, though, now Pickens has never been the true number one, except for a few times Deontay Johnson may have been injured. And I think now, the team has really just been focused on building on Pickens. I think he's going to really have a huge season. I think Roman Wilson, he fell a little bit in the draft. I think that's a big pickup. Freiermuth, in an Arthur Smith offense, I think that's going to be another big target here for the Steelers. And I think that really quickly, I think Russell Wilson has dove into the culture of the Steelers. I think he's really connected with the team, and I think we will see that on the field.
Well, it's going to heavily rely on another new offensive addition, which has been Arthur Smith in it as offensive coordinator. After the infamous Matt Canada firing last season, the Steelers needed a new OC, and Arthur Smith had just been let go by the Falcons, so it seemed like a perfect match. Now, as we enter Week 1 against his old team, Casey, do you think Smith's offense can overtake his old team?
Well, looking at what he would run in Atlanta, even going back to the Titans, I do think the Steelers have weapons available that will help him succeed a lot more. I think, back in Atlanta especially, you see a lot of play from the tight ends. Last year for the Steelers, they were really lacking in tight end play. Every week, everyone was asking, where's Freiermuth, And I think this season, you'll see him catch a lot more balls. I think also Darnell Washington, he's a monster of a man, and the Steelers have not utilized that so far.
And Arthur Smith loves his backup tight ends.
Yes, and I think he'll really be an impact player this year for the Steelers under this Arthur Smith offense. And now, especially with the running backs now, he loves using both the running backs last year. Everyone was talking about, why is he still using Algier so much? They have Bijan Robinson. Well, with the
Algier was a 1,000-yard running back as a rookie.
And with the Steelers running back room last season, towards the end of the season, they started to find the perfect balance between Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. And I think with Arthur Smith coming in, a guy who has more experience with an offense with two running backs like this, I think that against Atlanta this week, they'll run down their throats with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, and then third quarter-ish, we'll see a few play-action passes, and that's when Russell Wilson really come into the game.
That and the fact that Arthur Smith, as we've seen with his track record as the OC in Tennessee, where he was OC for 2 years, 2019 and 2020, where he was able to revive the career of Ryan Tannehill. He was a guy, he was a 24-year-old rookie back in 2012. He came into the league. He was an all right. He was a decent to mid-tier quarterback. He goes to Tennessee, and in 2019, he puts up the best passer rating in the league at 117.5, and then not too shabby in 2020, the next year as a full-time star, he puts up 106.5, which was top 10 in the league. And after Arthur Smith left, Tannehill kind of fell off a little bit, going down to 89.6 in 2021, which is below league average. But I feel as though Arthur Smith in this Steelers offense will be able to unlock the potential of a very physically limited Russell Wilson, who, as we've clearly seen, he's 34 now, I believe. He's a shorter guy. He can't rely on his mobility as much as he used to. So just to be able to use that in an offense where the check down is going to be very important, I just feel like Arthur Smith, it can't get much worse than Matt Canada. And I don't believe Arthur Smith is worse than Matt Canada.
Very true, very true. Switching sports now, the Pirates have undergone quite a roller coaster this season. While in late July, the Pirates were 3 games over 500. Now it's been a nosedive with the bullpen lacking, bats missing. Caden, going to you. What do the Pirates have to do to fix their future?
I'm not going to mince words here. The Pirates need to clean house. They need to get rid of Shelton. They need to get rid of Charrington. They need to get rid of Haynes, the batting coach. It's just they've kept trying this formula over and over again, and it just hasn't worked. It needs to be like a complete just take it out and start all over again for probably like the 5th or 6th time since we lost Barry Bonds back in the 90s. But it's just this formula isn't working, and we have O'Neal Cruz starting in the outfield when he's a shortstop. We have Henry Davis, a first overall pick catcher, starting in right field. It's just something about this isn't quite adding up. And
I mean, I agree there. I think they've got to get Derek Shelton out of here. No manager in modern baseball history has been at a team for so long and lost so much. And I think with a new manager comes a change in attitude. There's no team in the MLB that has a worse attitude towards the game in general as the Pittsburgh Pirates, except for the White Sox, and they have 109 losses. Okay, and I think there has to be a change in approach to how they build the team. And I know that's hard. With they have the owner, Bob Nutting. He never gets to the money printer except it's for himself. But I think Ben Cherington he just has to go after it a little more. He's had opportunities to get free agents, get trades at a price that they can manage, but he doesn't do it and settles for a bit of mediocrity trades. That kind of leaves everyone a little satisfied, but never moves any needles.
It's the same thing that happens in all of Pittsburgh sports: Steelers, Penguins, Pirates. We're stuck in purgatory in these sports. We're stuck with complacency of being good, but not good enough. Yeah. Too good to get a top pick, but too bad to really compete for a championship.
And I think the thing, you speak of, and all this stuff, draft-wise, the Pirates they're not even mediocrity. They're just really bad. And so they've had a lot of top picks, and Cherington, I think, has done well.
Yeah, Paul Skeens, he's the best pitcher in the NL right now with an exquisite mustache. I mean, what does that man not have?
So he has good draft choices, but I think the problem is as they go through the Pirates system, then they come out to the majors and they're just really disappointing. Henry Davis is the best example. Number 1 overall as a catcher. He was could have been an elite hitting catcher. Now he can barely hit the ball and can't even catch the ball at all. And so really, I think it's really the most important thing is going to be development-wise, clearing house most coaches all throughout the system.
It is safe to say that whoever does, if Shelton is fired, whoever does inherit this squad will be inheriting a good team overall. We just need new ideas. All right, when we come back, our panelists will have to face my rapid-fire questions right here on Sports Talk in the Burgh.
Do you want to meet a family with a transgender kid? Here we are. Max loves to do backflips. Max loves to play his ukulele. Max loves to just be a kid and just be himself. When I found out I was pregnant, all I really wanted was a happy, healthy, whole child. And that's what I got. I think it's really important for people to know that trans kids don't have a political agenda. They are just kids. Like any parent, we love our kids unconditionally, and we will never stop fighting for them. Stand with us. Protect our families.
Wait! don't do that. No.
Don't hit your brother. Ooh.
Not again.
What did I tell you about playing in the mud?
Raffy, not so close to the pool. Wait!
Frankie, Tabby, what are you doing? We told you never to touch the gun!
I'm sorry, I didn't think it was that big of a deal.
You could have hurt yourself!
Safely store your guns. Unload, lock, and away from ammo.
Welcome back. Now, over the course of the years this show has been on, we've had plenty of segments and options for this time. Today, I've gone for a new one just for Casey and Caden here. I have a list of questions spanning across multiple sports, and I will be rapidly reading them off for them to answer before our time runs out. Caden, I'll start with you. Are you ready?
I was born ready.
All right. U.S. flag football quarterback Darryl Duquette said he's better than Patrick Mahomes. Do you agree?
I do not agree with that at all, mainly for the fact that Patrick Mahomes is in the NFL and Darryl Duquette is not. He said, I believe it was his knowledge of the game that makes him different. I mean, flag football and NFL football are inherently very similar at best, and I'd take the guy who's been a 2-time MVP, 3-time Super Bowl champion over the guy who I honestly didn't know his name until he got into the news this week.
All right, Casey, your turn. In the new Netflix documentary Sign Stealer, disgraced former Michigan employee Connor Stallion said he didn't use illegal methods to steal signs, but Michigan fan and Barstool president Dave Portnoy said he did. Who do you believe there in that situation?
I'm not gonna lie, both weirdos if we're being honest, but I think I would trust Dave Portnoy's dog, Miss Peaches, more than I trust him. You know, what insider information does he really have about Michigan, okay? You know, yes, he's a fan, but we're really going to trust him, okay? You know, I can barely trust his
pizza. They gave him
pizza.
tickets to the national championship.
I don't care, okay? I can barely trust his pizza review sometime, okay? Oh, just a cheese pizza, okay? You're not giving these places a fair chance, okay? And he's not his person that we should listen to, okay? I would rather listen to the boom of the Costco guys more.
Caden, back over to you. For the first time since the All-Star break, Paul Skeens is not the betting favorite to win Rookie of the Year. Is this a travesty?
I believe this is the biggest travesty known to man.
Oh,
I believe that Paul Skeens, as someone who, honestly, I'll be real honest with you guys, I'm not the biggest fan of baseball, but as someone who is outside of the baseball sphere, I know who Paul Skeens is. I know exactly who he is. I know what he's done. I know he's a great pitcher, goes to LSU, all that fun stuff. This guy on the Padres, never heard of him until I saw a headline that he might be winning Rookie of the Year over Paul Skeens. I wouldn't buy it. That is some anti-Yinzer propaganda.
I mean, Jackson Merrill, he's having a worse year than Brian Reynolds did when he was a rookie, and Brian Reynolds finished 4th in the Rookie of the Year voting. And you think maybe the best pitching prospect as a rookie we've ever seen shouldn't get Rookie of the Year over that? No chance.
All right, Casey. LeBron James recently said on a podcast that his son and new teammate Bronny James will not be calling him dad at work. What should Bronny call his dad then?
I think he actually should, you know, throw some dads out there.
Oh.
It would be, I think it'd be a little, you know, it'd be funny and might throw the other team off if all of a sudden you hear a grown man on the basketball court say, "Daddy, give me the ball." You know, I think that's something that can throw off the other team, and I think maybe they'll all go towards Bronny, maybe they'll all go towards LeBron. I don't know, but I think it might actually be a good choice. I mean, what else is he supposed to call him? Yo, Bron, yeah, give me the ball. Like,
my glorious king.
It's not going to sound natural for coming from his own son. He should just be true to himself and call him Daddy.
All right, Caden, finally. RMU made national headlines for Rob Carter Jr.'s catch this weekend. Is it the greatest interception in history of football?
I think it is. Personally, I've not seen anything better. I've seen interceptions from all over the place: California, Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania. All I'm saying, the closest one that I've seen is Troy Polamalu's interception in the divisional round against the San Diego Chargers, where he reached down, grabbed it on the ground with his perfect hairline. Honestly, I believe that as long as we have Rob Carter on this defense, every single offense coming up against us is going to be barbecue chicken.
All right, and that's all the time we have for you guys on Sports Talk in the Burgh. We'll see you next week for a RMU Sports Talk in the Burgh.